Alright, hit the button. A little late starting this video. Not sure where I want to go. Different subjects, really. Different thoughts. I just watched a Fred video talking about communication, kind of. And, you know, and then there's a couple of Piro videos about doing this new website stuff. And so I guess I'll get to that. And I saw a Math Fails video. I don't really get what he's talking about. I'm a little worried about him. He just doesn't look like he's in his groove. Like he's, you know, he's sort of doing that round square peggy thing or whatever. So, you know, hope things settle better. You know, and then a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses showed up at my door this morning. I was in a crappy mood anyway. I didn't sleep very well. Just kind of tormenty kind of dreams. And so yeah, I woke up kind of despondent and feeling a bit futile, but that happens. Yeah, just kind of have to work through it. Just keep plugging away, plug. Ugh. Yeah, I'm just not, you know, just irritating. I mean, these conversations, and it all illustrates, I guess, the same thing, just how frustrating it is. You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses are just so silly. You know, they have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. You know, I mean, a complete silly fairy tale understanding of reality. And they feel perfectly comfortable, you know, marching about, trying to tell other people what the secret to life is. And, but, you know, I've complained about that one before. Is that there really, for most people, there is no, you know, humility in the sense that they don't feel like they have to be qualified to talk on the subject. It's like having babies. They think it's like, oh yeah, you're just born with that right. And people think they're just born with the right to open their gob and tell somebody else what's right and wrong or how the world works. And they don't feel any obligation to have thought it through and, you know, done some serious modeling in their head. And it's just kind of depressing that that's the way it works. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, you know, I still believe in this concept that there is a way to communicate ideas. But that's the other thing, you know, Greatex did some video about the non-existence of whatever, absolute truth or some kind of bullshit. And he referenced this video on YouTube, you know, another one of these science programs, quote unquote, that are just so unscientific. You know, they've dumbed them down to the common denominator, ignorant audience. And so they just say, like, a lot of people think, or a lot of people did, you know, nothing precise, nothing, just so sloppy. And they had this thing where they were basically making the argument that people see color based on what language they use. And I find it ludicrous. You know, it's nonsense, I think. I think the simple explanation is that some primitive tribe in Africa is probably pretty genetically isolated, and they might just be colorblind or color specific. And the reason why they have no words for different things is because, yeah, they don't see them. That's why they don't have words for them. But whatever, it might be a function of genetics, not a function of language. I mean, that might be a simple, I didn't go through all their research, because who has to bother? It's just such mush. The whole way it's done it's like kindergarten science. It's not even that, it's definitely science on a mission. They want to prove something, and they're going to cheat the argument to do it. With manipulations. And there's so much of that, and it does work. Like I say, you put that MASH theme song behind the Modern Mystic talking, and I gotta admit, yeah, it's powerful. So you know, it's a method, but it's got to be used carefully, and you got to use it without doing any of this cheating. Like I said, just music and words is okay. Pictures and words is okay. but they got to be careful words. When people make claims that their real data isn't going to, like, they exaggerate what the real data indicates, that's where things get spooky and weird and fucked up, because then science loses its trustworthiness. There's a lot of that out there now. A lot of untrustworthy science. So anyway, that's a whole different kind of lament. Really wasn't the subject I intended. So, where was I want to go here? See, I did want to do something with this communication thing. But anyway, that sort of relates to the pyro thing, the YouTube thing, making videos thing, which sort of relates back to Math Fails, because he's communicating. But yeah, I don't know what, it's so indirect that I can't make much out of it. Even Matt did a video sort of about coming back to YouTube, I guess, for a while. Maybe, I don't know. He didn't say it directly, I guess. He just said, welcome back or something. But anyway, but yeah, all this roundabout conversation, blah, blah, blah. Look over there. Now look over there. Look over there. Look at that. What's that? I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody's on subject. And they don't, you know, but we'll see. I mean, it's nothing that means anything to me. There's no coherency in the conversation, because everybody keeps changing the context. And, you know, that doesn't really work for me. So anyway, this idea of, you know, how to remanufacture this kind of video. So let's first understand our context. All right, we're on YouTube, and YouTube couldn't care less. We're absolutely meaningless to YouTube. All right, our audience probably has the lowest potential to click an advertisement, you know, on YouTube. We bring an audience that is useless to YouTube, in the sense that they're not going to be ad clickers. So, you know, and YouTube doesn't care about anything else. And YouTube's completely focused on 2-minute videos, you know, 2 minutes or less. I mean, that's where they really capitalize. Very popular, very, everybody's got to like it kind of video. And something they can stream quick, display their ads, and that's where all the money is to be made. We're just something they've allowed to tag along, because if they overtly just cut us off, they'd look bad. So they let us play. But everything they do isn't modeled to serve the interest of people communicating on the internet. That's just not, YouTube just doesn't care. And if it does care, it cares about the same thing Facebook would care about, which is a bunch of teenagers, you know, talking about makeup or some other bullshit. Yeah, a little pile of dew. Just one little tiny duty. Anyway, it just looked like it was smiling at me, so I had to take a look at it. Anyway, must just fell out of someone. Yeah. So yeah, you know, of course YouTube doesn't serve our interests or our needs. It's not made to. And that's the problem here. That's why I'm saying all these corporate models are going to be doing that. And yeah, it'd be good to be able to, you know, pay to do our producing, and have the choice, you know, if we want to monetize or not monetize, or be commercial or not be commercial, and not impose it on everybody or any of that kind of stuff. And you know, but again, if there's going to be a bunch of people who are saying, where's my cut, you know, where's my ownership profit, I'm not terribly interested. Because yeah, I can produce a website, I can buy myself my server space, and so I really don't need that infrastructure. What I need is the index. What I need is the card catalog. I mean, there's, you know, the old brick and mortar library had two components. It has the reservoir of books, but the more, I think, valuable thing it had was the index of the books, the searchability. And that's, you know, the internet provides this huge opportunity to index content so specifically, so precisely, and so accurately through this technology. And yet we've allowed the whole thing to be spammed and perverted. We've given the search to a corporation. I mean, it's just, like I said, you wouldn't do that at a public library. You wouldn't sell the card catalog to some company that's going to put advertisements on the cards, you know, and start manipulating the text. That would be insipid. And that's what we've done to the internet. So I don't see any urgency to go jump onto some other corporate model bandwagon. And I see every reason to be a holdout and to say, well, let's wait, or let's push for what the internet really needs, which is a public library style, non-commercial alternative, as the Google guys promised us. Let's really do it for sure this time, because we won't let two little weasels control it. You know, or a corrupt university, Stanford, fucking bastards. You know, the government shouldn't give them any more grant money. But anyway, yeah, no, there should be a public library style alternative. You should be able to make the choice to say, I want something generic, simple, basic, that requires people to be accountable, and yeah, and not complicated. So that's part of this whole mechanism, though, is that if you're going to build it, it's got to have its roots in this idea of organizing content. And so that's sort of where I'm thinking. And I'm sort of thinking about the, you know, people keep complaining about the us and them thing, but it's a reality. And the us's and the thems are going to have to start making arguments to each other that, you know, aren't, you know, regurgitations of the same arguments argued for 400 years. There has to be some point where you can resolve some of these issues and say, well, if you accept this premise, you accept this premise, and you accept this premise, then you have got to understand that it's quite reasonable for me to do what I'm going to do. And that's just the truth. And so we got to understand what the us and them is. And the us and them will be a dispute over a premise, something fundamental, like either you are a sadistic fuck who doesn't care, or you're not. Yeah, because that's what it does come down to. I think you can distill it. And as you keep distilling, you'll find out that the people who are comfortable with this bullshit are comfortable with it because they're not seeing it. Because they're protecting themselves like a Jehovah's Witness or some other brainless drone from reality. They've got some other piece of bullshit that they're focusing on. Log, 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 log. Only look at the log. Don't see anything else, just log. And that's it. You know, they're not going to be blighted by a context because they're completely focused on their objective, which is usually something silly, personal, selfish, you know, for their own benefit, for their own gain, for their own comfort, and it won't have any, there won't be any principle involved. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so that, I think that is a reality here. As much as the other side would protest, I think their protest is based on the fact that they've separated themselves from seeing the reality. They're just looking at a little cleaned up version you know, they're going to the hospital on Happy Balloon Day. You know, not Screaming Horror Day. Since there's a facade they're living in, and not reality. Because the more you add the context, the more you add the music and the words and the poetry and the art of it. But you know, the stuff that has real depth and meaning, and substance, the stuff that's powerful, the more it's just so damn obvious. You just can't escape it. The more you see the context, again, some idiot at a sports event, in context, can be just seen as a fool, an idiot, a moron, a jerk. I mean, come on. All that's going through his head is all crap. You know, he shouldn't be entertained by such nonsense. He should be able to find something better to feed his soul. Yeah, alright. Well, that's the video. Not the best, but not the worst. Just throw it in the middle. My feet are already wet, so I might as well just walk in the water. Anyway. Back aches too. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, not one of my better days. Anyway. Till the next time and such. So forth, whatnot. And, something else. But even words, kind of to the point we're talking about some kind of Gulliver's Travel thing, and it's one of the stories where people were afraid of words, so they use very few of them. We certainly could reduce language, because there are a lot of superfluous words, especially in how they're commonly used, because people don't make much distinction between them, and they use them one time to say one thing, and use them another time to say something else, and that's pretty sloppy. So cutting down the language probably would have some value. So that's the thing I want to say about the indexing thing too of the internet. We got to cut down these keywords, be more precise in describing content. And instead of being more precise, it's getting less and less precise. Because, you know, Google sucks. And we gave it the internet. It is insane.